Okay, folks, here's the deal.
I'm at the bottom of the Grand Canyon.
This is gonna be a special
One of the most intense trails.
This is the operating station.
That's a bear.
Wow, do I really look like a guy with a plan?
The traveler has
I just do things.
This is a huge, beastly, bulging man. Plates were from Kansas.
That's right, folks, but I never said the bulges were in the right places. Remember that. Hey guys, I'm Mike, Kilo Echo Zero, Victor, India Mike. This is the Travelin Ham. This is the POTA Elmer Hour. My little live stream that I'm still trying to get growing here and get known as a place where newer hams, even older hams, can come in and ask some beginner level questions for Parks on the Air. Of course, we can answer any kind of questions on Parks on the Air, but that's really who I'm trying to invite in, are the beginners, to ask the kinds of questions that aren't necessarily welcomed or met with friendliness on some of the other social channels. So we welcome the silly questions. I like silly questions. It's one of the few times I can feel kind of smart. And no question has ever been asked before. It's your question now, so that's what makes it different. And we'll never tell you to read the freaking manual, though we may get it out and read it together. So welcome. I see we got Paul, my good buddy Paul, in the chat, who I got to meet briefly up in Ohio. How you doing tonight, Paul? And we are going to, I got a little bit of a shorter time this afternoon. We are leading right up to the, as usual, to the ham radio premiere videos that start tonight at 52 minutes after, let's see, 22:52 is the UTC time. So that's just here in 50 minutes. So we're a little compressed here at time, but that's okay. We got great videos coming up on the premieres tonight. Carlos has his interview video that he does every year at Hamvention in Ohio, where he asks all the influencers, everyone at the Troll Pub really, the same question and see what kind of answers he gets. It's usually pretty fun. We'll see if yours truly makes the cut. And then we got, hey Jeff, great to see you in here. In Jeff's video, I was going to mention next, Jeff's got an activation video. He's bragging on some DX, which he's been getting lately. It seems like from Delaware. It almost seems like cheating when I'm out east there. It's once you get in that Eastern time zone, all of a sudden you start hearing Spain every single activation. So I'm excited to get back out there again and get those European contacts going. I do get them out west some, but not nearly the extent that you can get them out east naturally. I mean, you're halfway there by the time you get to the East Coast. And then I've got a video after that leading up to Ham Radio Clubhouse. I'm activating a Mammoth Cave on my way back from Hamvention. So that's the lineup tonight, and that leads right up to Ham Radio Clubhouse. And I can't tell you what those guys are going to talk about because I have no idea. I don't think they do either. They do have a guest on tonight, but yeah, you just never know what tangent those guys are going to go on, and that's what makes it fun. Mike, I'm curious about which antenna you rely on during solar minimum. Well, that's a great question, Paul. Let's just jump right into that, shall we? I've come prepared tonight with a little bit of information about solar minimum. And you can see I've got this chart right up here from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the Space Weather Prediction Center, where they're laying out what we've experienced in solar cycle 25. And then, you know, down here on the right end, you got the prediction of where they think it might go. Excuse me, still fighting a cough here. But I want to focus back here. Can you guys see my map? There we go. There's my mouse. I'm focusing back here on the lower end, the last solar minimum. And we're going to talk about what experiences were like back in this time period to kind of get ops ready for what's coming up here in, 2029, 2030, 2031. What's it going to be like? Well, let's look back at how it was. I got my license in early 2019. So that is just right back here, just before the actual solar minimum, which I researched on the NOAA site, and it said December of 2019. So just before this 2020 line here is where the solar minimum actually happened. Okay, and then we obviously see a little bit of an upward curve from there. Now, I didn't do a whole lot of ham radio in 2020. I was just getting into moving around and the mobile lifestyle, and didn't get a whole lot. I had a few activations in 2020, but we're going to look at some of my operations in 2021, and I'll show you the antenna I used. It's not impressive, and we'll look at some of the results from that time period. So we're down here. You can see where we're at now, up here in the first part of 2026. So obviously 2021 is pretty close to the bottom. Not at the bottom, but pretty darn close. And that's where I've got just a body of work that's substantial enough that we can look at and see what it's like. Okay? So I think my first picture here is the antenna. There we go, Paul. Here's the answer to part of your question. This is the antenna that I relied upon in the last solar minimum. And as you can tell, that's not a lot of metal in the air. This is the Wolf River coils Take It Along 1000 setup. So I've got the 1000 coil there. And I can't remember how tall this whip is. That's like their standard 8-foot whip that came with that. So, and that's mag mounted right on the truck. And that was a pretty typical setup for me in this 2021 time period that we'll talk about. Now, I did have a fan dipole that was had wires cut for 40 and 20. So, I could do 15 on that as well. But once I got this set up, this was so much more portable. This is kind of what I was sticking with here. So, not an impressive antenna. There's going to be a heck of a lot of antennas that I would run now that are going to outperform this setup here, just because that 17-foot whip of mine is going to get a lot more metal in the air. And you can kind of see where this top coil is set here. There you go. Now you can see my pointer. It's pretty close to the top for 20 meters, even though it's just an 8-foot whip. But when I put my 17-foot whip on there, I'm only using that much coil for 40, and this is what I'm using here for 20 meters most likely. And 40 would be about halfway down the shaft there, or maybe a little less than that. So, this coming minimum, I'm going to be a lot better armed than I was in last. But these are the examples that I have to work with, and I hope it comforts you to see my results in solar minimum using this antenna. Most of us have several options that are going to be an improvement over that. Okay, so here's one of my first activations here in 2021. This is at White Sands, and I've got this POTA window up here. We can look at more of the details of the activation itself. I'm going to pan down a little ways here to get to 2021. And gosh, look at this. This is this is my very first activation right here at the bottom. You can't read it because of the overlap there, but and we're just right here. So we're at like my 6th or 7th activation, because some of these are multiples. I'm not even all that experienced, so I'm inexperienced. My antenna is not as good as what I have now, and we're at solar minimum type conditions. And you can see what I got here. I got 23 contacts. Check that map out. Pretty good spread from out west. Not bad. I mean, a lot of folks would be happy in these last few years getting 43 contacts in an activation. I'm sorry, 23, not 43. Let's look and see what I used here. Okay, that's all the contacts. Mostly 20 meters. and some 40 meters. So what I remember, how activations went, back in these times, was that 20 was your daytime band, and you are, that's your go-to, more so than it is now even. And then at some point in the evening, the MUF, the maximum usable frequency, goes below 14, and it just goes out. And I remember some instances where, I'm getting pile-ups, and then it seems like it's kind of thinning out. And the next thing I know, I can hear just one guy quiet, and he's way off the other end of the country, and then after that, it's nothing, crickets on the band, and that's when you switch. Now, this activation here was early enough in the day I didn't have to do that. So almost everything was here on 20. It looked like I tried switching over to 40 early on there, and only got a couple in about an hour, so I switched back. Which, nowadays I understand why. But so there's that activation, and that's reasonably successful. Who else we got in here? Rory, welcome, my friend. Good to see you in here. Jeff, I think I said hi to you earlier. Welcome. Nice to see some good faces in here. If there's anybody new in there that wants to drop a POTA question, please feel free to do just that. That's what we're here for. All right, so there's that one. There's that one. All right, let's skip ahead here. Let's not get too mired down. All right, first, this is going to get better, guys. This is first Grand Canyon activation. Okay, now I'm not down on the bottom of it. This is South Rim. So I'm set up on the south rim of the canyon. It's actually where I took this picture of the truck. So I'm just kind of over these bushes and down a little ways, sitting right there on the rim. And I just went out there and saw just watched the sunset out at Grand Canyon while I was activating for a few hours. So, I had some time, and this was evening time. So let's see how this differs. Let's see. Obviously, there's quite a few dots there. What do the numbers say? Oh boy, I gotta go all the way back to the bottom again. All right, here we go. Grand Canyon, 70 contacts in one evening in solar minimum for a newer activator with an okay antenna. Not bad. Let's see, I'll open this in a new tab. Then I don't have to go back every time. I think we're going to see here the 20 and 40 strategy that I mentioned before. So 70 contacts, and I think my first contact was, I thought it was K8MRD. What order is this in? This isn't right. This is real new. That's not right. What happened there? That is opening my hunter log. That is a weird little bug. All right, I'll left click. There we go. Now we're talking. I think some of those hams on there weren't even hams back in 2021. Here we go. Yeah, Mike was getting someone else out to do a POTA activation. I think the first one, this Michael Mitchell. And he responded right away, and then I got Mike right after that. But here you can see I started off on 20 meters, and then at some point I switched to 40 right here at right around 2 o'clock UTC. There was a break in there for sunset itself. I had a horde of people come up on my operating location right at sunset. I had positioned myself way away from the main viewing area. So I thought it'd be good, but you know how it works in these parks is if you set up somewhere, even if it's somewhere that has no features at all, there's no reason to be there. If you're sitting there, other people will park and get out and come out and look just to see what's going on. I did have a good view at this point, in this case, but that's why we got a big gap right there between 20 and 40 of an hour, or I'm not making any contacts. But right there at 1:30 UTC, which would be, I think, 7:30 local time. Right, this is April, so we should be in daylight savings time. So I think that'd be 6:30 local time. I'm switching over to 40 you know, and I got some context there. So 70, not too bad for solar minimum, right, guys? With my wimpy little antenna. What else we got? Grand staircase activation. Now these are some different colors. What do we got going on here? Is this a digital? I don't think this is a digital. Let's check this out. Grand staircase. Oh, this is part of a threefer, and they don't do this anymore. But there was this one right here, Grand Staircase Escalante BLM National Monument, which I think, no, National Monument. That's right. That's what it is nowadays still. And then they've got a section of it, the Grand Staircase unit. So you know, I posted this threefer, and they were, and the response online was, well, that really shouldn't be a threefer. There shouldn't be sections of parks included with other parks, but there it was. So I got my threefer, and I don't even think this is I don't think that's a park anymore. If we clicked on it, I don't think it's a park. So what do we do here? Okay, this is a lot of data. A little bit of phone, but a lot of data. Funny, I don't remember doing FT8 from that location, but I guess that is what I did, and I got quite a few. Looks like I tried some phone, but didn't get much. So I switched over, and you know, still got a decent amount there. But we still got some big ones coming here. Let's see where we can go here. This is Dixie National Forest. Do I have a couple of them? Yeah, that's a pretty good spread there. I think that's where we were camped, so I had a little bit of time on that one. Dixie National Forest, 84 contacts. And that says it's all in the same UTC day. All digital again. All right, I must have been in a digital mode. I did remember a couple activations. I didn't remember that there were this many. But I think I got bored of FT8 in about four or five activations. So not bad, not bad. Digital modes are good. Let's go back here and look at some of these numbers. So over here on the farthest right-hand column, you can see the totals, and you can see there's some decent ones there. Like here's one at Zion. I don't have a map for this one. 120 contacts. 120 contacts, and that was all on the same UTC day. So I think I started that one after midnight UTC. Would have been another one where I was going from 20 to 40. I'm pretty sure that was a voice activation. I got 78 here at Bryce Canyon National Park. Is that 68 were digital or 68 were voice? That's voice. So, okay, I thought that one was primarily FT8, but that was primarily voice. So there's 78 contacts there. And let's see, do I have a map for that one? Dixie Forest. Yeah, there's Bryce Canyon there. Because I got one digital to Germany. But there's my spread around the U.S. So getting out east, you know, quite easily. These are a lot of evening activations. So I'm trying to make you guys feel good. You know, if you're worried about solar minimum, but I do think you're going to have to there'll probably be some changes you have to make. You may not be able to activate the time that you want to activate with the mode that you like to activate on the band that you like to activate. You know, there's going to be some adjustments. And one thing I did a lot of in this year that helped me out a bunch is I'm usually activating gray line, and that served me pretty well. Not because I was smart and wanted to take advantage of gray line. That's just when I tended to get out. I'm not a morning person. And everyone's got regular stuff going on during the day, so it'd be the evenings when I'd get out to activate, and it worked. So why change it? So there's Bryce Canyon. How many did I say that was? 78. Look at it. Here's 84, Dixie National Forest. Well, yeah, we talked about that one already. Capitol Reef, 152 at Capitol Reef. I got that map. It was another evening activation. That's it right there. So I think you're looking at 20 and 40 meters in that color-coded map there. I believe 20 is the orange and 40 would be the red. That would make the most sense. Pretty good. Pretty darn good. And what time of year are we talking about here at Capitol Reef? May. So we're getting into summer doldrums. That's something I'm interested in seeing this solar minimum myself. Are the summer doldrums going to be lessened in solar minimum? Is that not going to be quite such a big deal? We'll see. But 152, let's look at the look at how that worked out. Again, this is early 2021. So this looks like a little bit of 20, and I switched to 40 fairly early right here. Well, fairly early. That was 3:21 UTC. So midnight out there was 6. So that was about 9:30 that I switched, and I went for quite a while. It looks here like that's not my first contact. That's why it looks heavy on 40. Here we go. First contact is about 1 o'clock UTC. And I ran 20 meters for about 2.5 hours. Right up here to about 3:30, 4 o'clock. Another sunset activation. Cool. And I tell you, I love being out in these parks. It was so cool being out at like Grand Canyon after dark. It's been dark for a couple hours by the time I leave, and I'm the only person out there. It's just so cool. Okay, so what is my status now? Says I'm still live. Okay, you're saying I'm back. Right on, all right. Pardon my commercial here. I was just going through this to verify that I was live, but all right, you guys make me feel better. Sorry, the wind's blowing like 30 to 40 miles an hour out here, and it blew Starlink over. I've got it strapped up there so it won't come off, but it just blew it over, and that was enough to take it offline. I went and checked with my son. I'm like, "Do you have internet? Did you hear the dish blow over?" And he's like, "No, I'm good." He's sitting there, he's playing Fortnite and rock and rolling. Nothing wrong. I don't know how that works. All right, well, we're back. We still got about 30 minutes here. I still don't think I'm connected to my chat, but I saw you guys commenting on my live stream here. So okay, all right. Looks like I'm back on there. I'm just not seeing your contacts update in my screen here. But that's okay. So I might miss comments, but we'll keep rolling here. What was I? I think I was talking about Capitol Reef. Cool park. That's a really out of the way place. Very, very interesting. Very pretty. I took a couple really cool hikes in there. Yeah, 152 contacts in that period of time. And we're starting to get in the summer doldrums here. So, you know, it's even something else that I don't have going for me. How about Dinosaur? That looks pretty good. 61 contacts from Dinosaur. So now we're up here on the Utah-Colorado line. And what time of year are we talking here? That was in June. That was June 14th. So about right now, and making 61 contacts. Not too shabby. Another evening time. I don't think I went to dark on that one. Doesn't look like I did. I stayed on 20 the whole time. I think I got out there a little bit earlier. I don't remember being on that one out to dark. But the bigger one that you might have seen, was this one right here. Craters of the Moon National Monument, 171 contacts. That was my first really, really, really big activation. You know, and I'm still fairly new as an activator at this point. But, woo! They just came busting in all evening long. And did I ever leave 20 on this one? I don't know if I did. I think it was so solid. I don't think I ever left 20. So here's an example. I was on 20 meters till 9:40 at night. And I think back then that was pretty late for 20 meters to still be open. But, you know, that was a crazy activation. Still the same setup. You know, I don't improve my antenna throughout this entire trip. It's still that 8-foot whip on the Wolf River coil. So, you know, I'm not upping my game at all here. Have I done Spearfish Canyon? I have not. I don't even know where Spearfish Canyon is. I don't know what state it's in. Facebook message from Friday about DMR. Drew, I did not get that. I did not get that comment. Facebook Messenger is not a great way to get in contact with me. My email is good on World Radio League. You can get it from there, or QRZ, but I'm saying World Radio League now. It's a fun activation would be to take a bunch of friends with HTs down to the bottom of Carlsbad Caverns and activate from the bottom of the cave. Okay, Don, I got you. That would be kind of fun. It's I don't know. I'm trying to remember if they have noise restrictions down there. I think that's one of those places they tell you to do nothing more than whisper when you go down there. I went in Mammoth Cave on my way back from Hamvention. That's my video that drops tonight. And there was this stereotypical guy from New York there that went in with us, and just loud and talking the whole time. And he's walking into the cave and he's going, "Ooh," doing stuff like that, and just being crazy. And at one point, He totally shut up, and I think the Rangers might have said something to him. He's being a little obnoxious. That's a good idea, Don. I like it. I like it. I like your thinking there. Carlsbad is an awesome one if you haven't been there. It's just tough to get to because it is so out there all by itself. It's hard to get it on the way to something else. What else we got? What else we got? I think that was my big one there for 2021 was Craters of the Moon. But I mean, you can see some up here. This was I think this is actually, I think that was field day. I got 113 at Sawtooth National Forest, 44. I think all that together there was field day. So that was 157 contacts, but that was over the course of 2 days. And almost all of them were out west. I could not get east at all for the life of me from that activation. And I thought it was because of mountains to my east, but my experiences since then have taught me those mountains weren't a problem. They weren't that high. Propagation was just not good that direction. Glacier National Park. This is an interesting one. These are fun to talk about because this is before YouTube, so you know I haven't ever shared anything about any of these. 137 at Glacier, and it looks like, of course, I started on 20, and it looks like I finished on 20. So I went to 251. That was still mountain time, so that'd be just about 9 o'clock. Wasn't quite dark there at that time, but it was getting there. It's light so late, and it was July 31st. The days were nice and long. Summer doldrums, not a problem. Solar minimum, not a problem. Not a problem. Now I will balance this one by talking about a failed activation that I had at Glacier. And the only reason I put it in quotes, you know, some people don't like using the word failed, so they like to put it in quotes. But in this case, I put it in quotes because I didn't make any contacts. I made 0 contacts from this spot up here in Glacier National Park. But the view is the thing to share from right here. You think I got some people with some pictures here. Let's see what kind of good pictures we have right here. But this is what I was looking at the whole time. Man, this is a beautiful spot. This does not do it justice because everything in the foreground is made so much bigger with this fisheye effect. But man, is that a pretty spot. Pretty spot. I wish I had a video from that spot. If I ever go back there, we're still doing YouTube, I got to do one from right there. But sitting right there, I got 0. Actually, no, I didn't run radio from here. I was at McDonald Lake. Similar situation. Not quite as pretty. Not quite as pretty. But similar situation here. You got other photos I can see than this one? But I basically set up here. I was mid-afternoon and just couldn't hear anybody the whole time. I wonder if that one was summer doldrums, but you know, of course I thought it was the mountains to the east, but I've since learned, no, Mike, that wasn't your problem. But just really bad conditions, and maybe that was a day that solar minimum got me. But after that, I thought, okay, I'm gonna beat you. God, what a pretty park. I'm gonna beat you, and I'm gonna drive up to I think the pass is right up here in this picture, to Logan Pass, and I activated up on the Continental Divide, and that was a good spot. What I say, 100 and was it 150? That had me on the leaderboard there for a while. 152 Capitol Reef, Glacier 137. Don't think I'm on the leaderboard for that one anymore. Nope. Nope, just edged out. Shoot. Now I got to go back. Any more comments? Let's see. I'm way behind here. South Dakota near Deadwood. Okay, no, I don't know Spearfish Canyon. I wonder if it's over by, if it's in the western part of the state. That's where a lot of the interesting stuff in South Dakota seems to be. So where's Deadwood? Yeah, right there. It's up there by the, what's the motorcycle town up there? It's one of these, Sturgis. There we go, Sturgis. Yeah, just right on there, Sturgis. I want to spend a lot more time in this area, Paul. That's one that we've been through a couple times, but just for one reason or another, it just didn't work to stay there. And the second time, it was because we didn't have Starlink yet, and we couldn't find a spot with good enough signal. So we just went ahead and went on over here to Badlands National Park. But that's somewhere I would like to go and spend some time. You know, I think it's not too high elevation, so it can get fairly hot there. So it needs to be shoulder season, but you know, a September, October up there would be really, really cool. Yeah, Drew, I got the park to park on that. That was awesome. Appreciate you getting out and activating. I didn't do quite so well. I got 7 JS8 contacts and tried a couple on voice, but couldn't get it done and just sort of ran out of time and called it good. I've activated that park 19 times, so I wasn't too worried about it. Do I plan on sticking with the telescoping vertical during upcoming minimum? Yes. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. In fact, the more I go, the more I feel like I am just a vertical telescoping whip guy. And I think I'm gonna do more with that, and you know, find modifications to do on it and things like that. But I think that's going to be my shtick, and it's just so versatile. You know, you can go anywhere and use it, and that's exactly what I need. Something I know I can just stand up and use, and it will do fine. They had a McDonald's at the lake. No, Jeff, they did not. They did not. There probably wasn't one very far away, but it wasn't there at Lake McDonald. Unfortunately, my son would have liked it there. Hey, Zach, good to see you. Glad you're here. All right, get rid of that effect there on the on the screen. What do we got? Anything else from 2021 I would share here? Let's see, I got away from my maps. That was Craters of the Moon. I mean, look at that coverage from Craters of the Moon in solar minimum. You know, one of the things people don't talk about, when you get in solar minimum, you don't have the solar storms like we're having now. You know, you don't have a lot of great sunspots and the things that they do, but you don't have the bad stuff that you get from all that too. So, you know, I think space weather is going to seem a lot more even keel during a solar minimum. Not quite so dynamic, and they're going to seem more predictable. They are going to change, and maybe a little bit tougher depending on what it is that you're trying to do. But, I mean, look at this. So again, we're talking about, go back to the beginning here. We're talking about this part of the solar cycle right in here. This is the window that we're looking at, you know, and we're still way up here, a couple lines above that. You know, so we're talking about 2029, you know, 2028, 2029 being in this stretch, you know, so this is going to be advanced solar minimum. So, I mean, I see people making crazy comments. Like I saw one guy It said, solar minimum. I just don't play ham radio. I do other stuff. I don't get it. I don't get it. There's the map from Glacier. Let's see, that was Craters of the Moon. There's my map from Glacier. So that's all on 20 meters. We're making it rain all over the country there. Look at that. Look at that. And nowadays, what has really changed more than anything else, if you happen to be activating out western solar minimum, there's a lot more hunters in this part of the world out here nowadays. And you know, I learned this last year. I could run an activation late at night when the whole East Coast has gone to bed and just rely on West Coast activators or hunters. There's enough of them now that's a real possibility, and it works. I wouldn't have done that here in 2021. You see, it looks like I got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 contacts out of 100 and some. So I wouldn't have been as confident back then. But in 4 years later, that's a different story. Those West Coast hunters have come a long ways. Got a Hawaii on that one too. Yellowstone. Here you got some FT8 in there again with those yellow pegs. I'm pretty sure FT8 ran a little bit there, but I think I did fairly well on that one. Yellowstone National Park. Let's see, I had a couple different ones there. I got 147 on my first activation. That was at the northwest entrance, right where those floodwaters went through a year later. I forget the town up there. Gardner, that's it. Yeah, I was right in here, right by the entrance. Still in Montana. Activating the park. So that part I've activated in all 3 states. But there's another example. Still in summer doldrums. I mean, this is July and August here. Actually, these are all in August. But 147 on that first activation, and I got 66 later, going for more of the middle part of the park. So there's 200 contacts across 2 different activations, and you can see more in here. There's Rocky Mountain, 143 contacts. That got me in the lead for the park for a while. Great Sand Dunes, 146. And then I came home and got 153 in my home park. Of course, that's getting into December, so we're getting away from summer. So how's that? Do you guys feel better? Anybody still worried about solar minimum? I didn't intend for that to take the whole time, but there we go. Of course, we had a little blip out there. It took some time too. So don't sweat it. Are you going to have to make changes? Sure, I think so. But nothing major. I mean, you're going to be working on higher bands. Oh, I'm not live here. You're going to be working on lower frequencies, I should say. More often, you're going to be using bigger antennas. If nothing else, go for some evening gray line or morning gray line if that's your preference. Why not? So there's no reason to be too worried about it. I think the things are gonna change drastically. They'll change, but it's workable, it's doable, and you'll be fine. Jeff says he was never worried. Well, Jeff, I would have guessed that you wouldn't have been worried about it. When did you get your license, Jeff? How long you been a ham? I think he goes back a little ways. So I think we'll pretty much wrap it up at that. if anybody out there, if anybody's new, didn't get a question in, didn't quite feel comfortable, you can send it to me via email. You can save it for next week. Whatever you like. I'd love for this to be a place where people can come in and ask beginner level questions and not feel worried about it. And we've had some experienced guys in here asking some beginner level questions too, and that's fine. You know, a lot of times we're trying something different in the hobby. That's what it's all about. So we become a beginner all over again. Jeff became a ham in January of 2015. Nice. So yeah, you got quite a bit of all of that solar minimum then. None of us were doing, well, there's a few people doing POTA back then. I didn't start until late 2020. But, yeah, there's a lot of us out there that's going to be a fairly new experience going through this minimum. But just wanted to take some time here to, I've gone to commercial in my own live stream. Can you believe that? I just wanted to take some time to throw some numbers out there, put some real world experience on the screen and say, you know what, this is what it is and this is what it's like. It's not too bad. We'll still have fun. And I bet you there'll be some of you out there who even say, I kind of like it this way. We'll see. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start to shut her down here. We got a few minutes until Carlos's video starts. Carlos has his interview video coming up. Jeff's running the new antenna and getting some DX contacts on that in the video thereafter, and then I'm activating at Mammoth Cave at National Park on my way home from Hanvention. That is what is coming up here tonight. Thank you guys for hanging out. All you guys and any gals that might be out there, thanks for hanging out with me this afternoon. Still lots of great ham radio content to come. And we'll see you next week. 7-3.
He was running his rig 20 words per minute with Morse code. I strode up to his station and said, hey man, I got that mode. If you're going to activate Mike, with me you can ride. So I sat at the picnic table and I settled down by his side. He asked if I'd been in a better park to scan across the bands, and I said, listen, I POTA everywhere in this here land. I POTA everywhere, man. I POTA everywhere, man. West Coast to the east, man. Sea to shining sea, man. Activations, I've had my share, man. I POTA everywhere. I POTA at Mayo, Arapahoe, Sonora, and Coconino, Yellowstone, Sorrow, Scope, and Coronado, Washita, San Juan, Niagara, Chiricahua, Alma, Mackinac, Kill, Soquat, North Willapa, Redwood, Silverwood, Ironwood, Red Rock Canyon, Bryce Canyon, Black Canyon, and Grand Canyon. I'm a champion. I POTA everywhere, man. I POTA everywhere, man. Craters of the moon, man. Salmon, Brook Lake, Bog, man. Activations, I've had my share, man. I POTA everywhere. grass, a bean, past acetate.